siren wasn't supposed to be there. Not on a day like this. The sun was blazing over the neat, quiet neighborhood of Cedar Grove, a place where lawns were trimmed sharper than conversations, and neighbors smiled with their teeth but never with their hearts. But today, the silence cracked. From above, a drone camera caught it all. A woman in a bright purple suit standing on the peak of a brown-shingled roof, pointing furiously at a man holding a hammer. Down below, a police cruiser flashed red and blue against the white sidewalks, as curious onlookers gathered in clusters, whispering. "Ma'am, I need you to calm down," shouted Officer Brooks from the roof edge, his voice trembling slightly from both height and tension. But the woman didn't even look at him. "Calm down?" she snapped, her voice sharp as sunlight. "He stole from me, officer. Right under my roof, literally." The man in the red and black plaid shirt clenched his jaw, his hammer lowering just slightly. "Lisa, for God's sake." "You've got this all wrong," he said, his voice deep, weary. It wasn't theft. It was a mistake. Lisa Whitmore, real estate agent, mother of two, and neighborhood perfectionist, stepped closer along the roof ridge, ignoring the danger beneath her heels. "A mistake?" she barked, holding up a yellow folder in her left hand. "You call taking federal solar grant money in my name a mistake, Ray?" The drone camera zoomed in as the crowd below gasped. 2 hours earlier, the sky had been just as clear, the world just as calm. Lisa had been in her kitchen sipping black coffee, scrolling through her emails when she saw it. An approval notice from the Department of Energy. "Congratulations, Ms. Lisa Whitmore, your residential solar installation rebate has been approved for $48,000. Her hands froze. She didn't own a solar system. Not yet. And the address on the document, her own. Within 20 minutes, she was standing in her driveway, staring up at her roof. And there they were, a crew of men in orange vests, solar panels stacked like dark mirrors. And at the center of it all, Ray Harper, her neighbor, her ex-business partner, the man she swore she'd never deal with again. "Ray!" she shouted from below. "What the hell are you doing on my house?" Ray turned slowly, hammer dangling from his hand. "Lisa, hey, we were just, finishing the layout." "Finishing?" she said, stepping closer to the ladder. "You mean stealing?" "You filed for the grant in my name!" Ray sighed, wiping sweat from his forehead. His salt and pepper hair glistened under the sun. "You weren't supposed to find out this way." Her blood boiled. "Find out what way, Ray? That you forged my signature again? Like last time with the remodel deal?" The workers froze. One of them, a younger guy with tattoos peeking from his sleeve, whispered to another, "Man, this is getting bad." Lisa grabbed the ladder and climbed halfway up. "Get down here and explain yourself before I can—" "All the cops." Ray looked around helplessly. "Lisa, please. It's not what it looks like." "Then tell me what it looks like," she snapped. Before Ray could answer, the flashing lights appeared at the corner, a police car pulling up slowly, curious neighbors filming from their lawns. Now the entire neighborhood was watching. Lisa had climbed all the way up, the bright purple of her suit gleaming in the sunlight. She stood balanced at the roof peak, a yellow folder clutched tightly in her left hand. "You forged my name," she said again, her voice trembling but loud enough to carry across the street. "You took my documents, filed my address, and used my tax ID for your project." Ray kept his distance, standing at the other end of the roof. The wind picked up slightly, rustling the loose solar panels below. "Lisa," he said quietly, "you think I wanted this? You think I did this to hurt you?" "You did hurt me," she shouted. "You ruined my reputation last time, and now this? You're stealing from the government and using me to cover it up." "Ma'am, please," the police officer called from below. "Both of you, step down before someone gets hurt." But neither moved. The workers stayed frozen mid-task, unsure whether to keep working or climb down. The hum of the police car and the whispering crowd filled the air. Lisa turned to Ray again. "I'm not stepping down until you admit it." Ray's eyes flickered. "Admit what?" "That you're a liar," she hissed. "A thief." Ray's hand tightened around the hammer. His jaw clenched. "You think I did this to get rich? You think this was about money? Then what was it about?" He looked down for a moment, then back up, his voice breaking. "It was about saving you." The words hung in the air like static. Lisa blinked. "What did you just say?" Ray took a slow breath. That grant wasn't meant for me. It was meant for you. Your house was red flagged for energy code violations. Lisa, they were going to fine you. I used your name so the grant would go through faster. The plan was to fix your roof and panels before they even noticed. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. The officer climbed halfway up the ladder. Ma'am, sir, this isn't safe. Please step down. Ray kept his eyes on Lisa. You've always assumed the worst of me. I get it. I deserved it after what happened last year. But this time, I swear to God, I was trying to help. The wind whipped harder now. The yellow folder in Lisa's hand fluttered, scattering a few pages down the slope. One sheet slid across a solar panel, catching the sunlight like gold. She looked at him, eyes flicking with confusion, anger, disbelief. Help, she whispered. By lying? Ray lowered his hammer. Sometimes lying is the only way anyone listens. Below, the crowd murmured. Someone shouted, They're gonna fall. Officer Brooks tried again. Both of you down now! But before he could finish, one of the solar frames shifted under a worker's. Boot! A loud clang echoed across the roof. Lisa stumbled backward, her heel catching the edge of a shingle. Ray dropped the hammer instantly. Lisa! He yelled, diving toward her. She screamed, grabbing the roof ridge with one hand, the yellow folder tumbling out of her grip. It spun in the air like a flare, catching sunlight as it drifted down toward the police car below. Ray lunged, his fingers locking around her arm just in time. For a second, everything froze. The drone hovered silently. The police officer froze halfway up the ladder. The workers stopped breathing. Only the wind moved. Lisa's eyes met Ray's. His face was inches away, strained with effort, sweat dripping down his forehead. Got you, he said hoarsely. Her heart pounded. Her left shoe slipped off, tumbling down the roof. Ray, don't let go! I won't, he said, teeth gritted. Officer Brooks reached out a hand from the ladder. Ma'am, grab my arm! Lisa reached, her hand trembling. Ray tried to lift her higher, his foot pressing against a solar panel for balance. The metal creaked under his weight. Almost there, he gasped. Then another sound, a loud metallic snap. The panel beneath his boot shifted. Ray lost his footing. Ray! Lisa screamed. The crowd below shouted in horror as both figures slid, one forward, one backward. The drone camera spun wildly, catching flashes of purple fabric, a falling hammer, the glint of sunlight on metal. A second later, a silence. Only the officer's voice broke through the chaos. Dispatch, we need backup! Possible fall from the roof. 2 victims. The screen fades to white, and as the sound of sirens grows louder, one faint echo lingers, Lisa's voice, desperate, breaking. Ray, why did you do it? Wind! That's the first thing Lisa remembered. How it screamed in her ears as the world tilted sideways, and the sky flipped upside down. Then impact. A blur of blue uniforms, the rough crunch of shingles, and the sting of sunlight across her eyes. Someone was shouting her name. Someone else was calling for a medic. When the ringing in her ears faded, she felt the coarse grit of roof dust on her palms and realized she was still alive. But Ray wasn't beside her. Steady. Ambulance is on the way. Lisa's throat felt dry. Ray, where's Ray? Brooks glanced over the edge of the roof and winced. He's on the lower slope. Looks like he caught a gutter on the way down. He's conscious. Lisa dragged herself toward the edge before Brooks could stop her. Down below, workers in orange vests had gathered around Ray's crumpled form on the porch roof. He wasn't moving much, just breathing hard, his hand clutching the gutter as if it were the only thing holding him to earth. Ray! She shouted. He lifted his head weakly. Still here, he muttered. Told you I wouldn't let go. Lisa's stomach twisted. She wanted to cry, scream, maybe laugh. But all she could do was stare as paramedics arrived and carefully slid him onto a stretcher. The smell of antiseptic filled the air. Lisa sat in the waiting room of Cedar Grove Medical, her purple jacket streaked with dirt and roof tar. A nurse stepped out. He's asking for you. Lisa froze. He's awake? Stable. Cracked ribs, dislocated shoulder, mild concussion, the nurse said. Lucky man. Lucky. The word hit hard. She walked into Ray's room quietly. Machines beeped softly. He looked pale, bandaged, but the familiar, stubborn half-smile was still there. You always did have a dramatic way of making a point, he whispered. She crossed her arms. You almost died, Ray. He chuckled dryly. So did you. There was a long pause. The anger that had burned all morning was still there, but mixed now with something heavier, confusion, guilt, maybe even fear. Why didn't you tell me? She finally asked. If this was about helping me, why all the lies? Ray sighed. Because you wouldn't have believed me. You never do. Try me. He turned his head toward the window. Outside, the sky had gone soft and gray. You remember the company we started 3 years ago? Whitmore Harper Remodeling? Of course I do. You tanked it. I didn't tank it, he said quietly. I covered the debt. You just never saw the paperwork. Lisa blinked. What debt? Ray's eyes met hers again. The environmental penalty? The city found asbestos in that old duplex we flipped. You were out of town at your mom's funeral. They threatened to fine you 50 grand. I signed everything under my name so it wouldn't touch you. Lisa's heartbeat quickened. That's not possible. The inspector told me... The inspector lied, Ray interrupted. He got a payout from Solrite Energy to push our clients toward their installations. When I found out, it was too late. They'd already blacklisted our business. That's why I took this job. These solar guys promised me a way to clear your record. If I got one project through under your name. Lisa stared, mouth dry. So you did forge my signature. Yeah, he admitted. But not to steal. To fix the damage I caused. The door opened. Officer Brooks stepped in, notebook in hand. Afternoon? Just need statements from both of you. His tone was professional, but there was a flicker of sympathy in his eyes. He'd seen enough messy truths to know when something didn't fit a simple report. Lisa explained what she'd learned. Ray filled in details about the grant, the company, and Solrite Energy's involvement. Brooks scribbled notes, frowning deeper with every sentence. So this solar crew, you think they're committing fraud? Ray nodded slowly. They're pocketing the rebate money, installing cheaper panels, and filing fake permits under homeowners' names. I caught them doing it on 2 houses down the street. They said if I played along, they'd cut me in. And instead, you thought you could expose them by what? Pretending to help? Ray winced. Yeah, stupid plan. Brooks closed his notebook. Not stupid, just risky. I'll contact the county energy office. But if what you're saying is true, this goes way higher. Lisa leaned back in her chair. You mean federal? Brooks nodded. Federal! After the officer left, the room fell quiet again except for the hum of the monitors. Lisa spoke softly. You could have told me. We could have gone to the police together. Ray smiled weakly. Would you have listened? She opened her mouth, then closed it. He was right. After their business fell apart, she'd built a wall too thick for even logic to pass through. Maybe not, she admitted. But I didn't want this. Her voice cracked. I didn't want you on a stretcher. Ray reached out with his good hand. Hey, I'm still here. She hesitated, then took his hand. His palm was warm, rough from years of work. The kind of hand that fixed things, even if it broke a few rules along the way. That night, as rain began to patter against the hospital windows, Lisa's phone buzzed with an unknown number. She answered cautiously. Hello? A distorted male voice came through. You should have stayed off that roof, Ms. Whitmore. Her blood ran cold. Who is this? Doesn't matter. Drop the police report. Forget what Harper told you, or next time you won't be so lucky. The line went dead. Lisa stared at her phone, heart hammering. She looked at Ray. He was asleep, breathing slow and steady. Someone was watching them. At 2 a.m., the corridor lights dimmed for night rounds. A janitor pushed a mop bucket past Ray's room. Lisa sat half asleep in the visitor chair when she heard the faint click of the door handle. Her eyes snapped open. A man in a dark hoodie slipped inside, face hidden under a mask. He moved fast, heading straight for Ray's IV stand. Hey! Lisa shouted. The man spun around. For a split second, she saw a logo on his sleeve, Solrite Energy. He lunged forward. Lisa grabbed the nearest thing, a metal tray, and swung. It clanged against his arm. He cursed, shoved her back, and bolted out the door. Alarms went off. Nurses ran in. Ray jolted awake, confused. What happened? Lisa's chest heaved. Someone just tried to kill you. By morning, the hospital was crawling with officers. Brooks returned, this time with 2 detectives. Lisa described everything. The voice call, the break-in, the logo. The detectives exchanged a look. "We've had other reports about Saul Wright," one said. "Money laundering, false claims, intimidation. Seems you two stumbled onto something big." Ray groaned. "So what now?" "We'll need your cooperation," Brooks replied. "And Ms. Whitmore's testimony?" Lisa nodded slowly. "Whatever it takes." When the officers left, she turned to Ray. "You realize what this means, right? They'll come after both of us." Ray smirked faintly. "Then we better make the story worth it." For the first time in years, the air between them softened. Lisa looked at him carefully. "You're still the same idiot who thinks he can fix everything alone." "Guess so," he said. "But you're still the woman who climbs roofs in heels." She laughed unexpectedly, the sound breaking the heaviness in the room. "Touché." He smiled back. "You ever think maybe we were supposed to screw up together?" "Maybe," she said. "But next time, let's do it from the ground." By evening, the story had leaked. Local contractor exposes solar fraud scheme after rooftop incident. Reporters swarmed the neighborhood. Drones buzzed again, this time filming from above for the news rather than gossip. Lisa watched the broadcast from the hospital television. Her purple suit looked ridiculous on screen, streaked with dirt and panic, but she didn't care. The truth was finally visible. Then a reporter's voice caught her attention. "Authorities have issued warrants for 3 executives of Saul Wright Energy. Sources claim whistleblower Ray Harper provided key evidence." Lisa turned to him. "You actually kept proof?" He nodded. "Hard drives, emails, everything hidden in my toolbox." She exhaled in disbelief. "You were planning this all along." Ray shrugged. "Told you I wasn't the bad guy this time." Later that night, Officer Brooks returned again, looking uneasy. "Ray, Lisa, good news and bad news," he said. "Good news. The feds are taking over the case. Bad news. We think someone tipped Saul Wright off. Their main office just went dark. Everyone's gone." Lisa frowned. "Gone? As in, run?" "Disappeared," Brooks said. "But we'll find them. Until then, you two might want protective custody." Ray tried to sit up. "Wait, protective what?" Brooks gave a thin smile. "You're both witnesses now." 2 weeks later, after Ray was released, they stood together at the base of Lisa's house. The roof had been repaired, panels realigned. The damage erased, but the memory stayed sharp. Lisa folded her arms. "Hard to believe this is where it all started." Ray looked up at the shingles. "You know, from up there you can see half the neighborhood." She smirked. "Yeah, and every neighbor with a camera phone." He chuckled. "Guess we gave them a show." Lisa's tone softened. "You risked your life for me, Ray. I still don't understand why." He met her gaze. "Because after everything, you're still the only person who ever believed in what we were building, even when you hated me for it." She felt a lump in her throat. "That's the corniest thing you've ever said." "Maybe, but it's true." As they turned to go inside, Lisa's phone buzzed again. One new message. "No caller ID." She hesitated, then opened it. "You think it's over? Look up." She froze. "Ray?" He followed her gaze. Up on the power pole across the street, a small drone hovered, silent, black, its red light blinking. Ray whispered, "They're still watching." The drone zipped away into the clouds. Lisa swallowed hard. "Then we keep watching too." That night, as the sun set behind the rows of perfect houses, a voiceover could almost narrate their thoughts. In Cedar Grove, the rooftops gleam, the lawns shine, and the lies hide in plain sight. Sometimes truth isn't found in courtrooms or contracts. It's found on a roof, between 2 people who almost fell trying to reach it. Lisa closed the blinds. Ray locked the door. Somewhere in the distance, another siren began to wail, and above it all, a single drone light blinked once, then vanished into the dark. The morning after the drone incident, Cedar Grove felt different, quieter, too quiet. Lisa stood by her kitchen window, clutching a mug of coffee that had long gone cold. The neighborhood looked the same. Neat lawns, trimmed hedges, kids on bikes, but she could feel eyes everywhere. The world above her roof had changed. Ray walked in, arm still wrapped in a sling, his expression tight. "Didn't sleep, huh?" Lisa shook her head. "I kept hearing that drone, even when it wasn't there." He nodded. "That's how they win. Fear. Makes you question what's real." She glanced at him. So what now? We can't just hide. Ray smirked faintly. No, we fight back. By noon, they met Officer Brooks in the precinct's back office, a windowless room lit by buzzing fluorescents. Stacks of files, old coffee cups, and the faint smell of paper filled the air. Brooks leaned forward. The FBI's moving slow. Saulwright's lawyers are playing games. We need something solid, public, undeniable. Lisa frowned. Like what? Ray said, a live reveal. Brooks looked up. A what? A press leak, Ray explained. They built this fraud under the promise of clean energy. Let's show the public what's really under the panels. Photos, emails, invoices. We put it all out at once. No spin, no delay. Lisa's heartbeat quickened. That could work, if we do it right. Brooks sighed. If you do this, you're going to paint a target on your back. Lisa leaned forward. We already have one. Brooks studied her for a long second, then nodded slowly. All right. I'll keep your address off the system and run interference. But once this goes live, there's no going back. That night, they drove to Ray's old workshop, a cluttered garage behind a chain-link fence. Dust floated in the air like memory. A single bulb hung from the ceiling, swinging slightly. This is where it started, Ray said, lifting a tarp. Beneath it sat the black toolbox he'd mentioned in the hospital. He popped it open, and inside were several USB drives, envelopes, and a small camera. Lisa picked up a drive, turning it in her hand. You've had all this for months? Years, he admitted. I thought if I waited, maybe I could fix it quietly. But quiet never changed anything. She smiled faintly. That's the first smart thing you've said. He grinned. Don't get used to it. They spent hours sorting files, fake signatures, false invoices, bribes between city inspectors and Saulwright execs. The corruption went deep. But one file stopped Lisa cold. A scanned letter with her own signature. Except it wasn't hers. Ray saw face. That's what started all this. They used your name to certify 20 projects, then blamed you when the permits failed. Her jaw clenched. We're not just exposing fraud. We're clearing my name. The next day, Lisa contacted a local journalist, Maya Torres, a sharp, fearless reporter from Channel 7 Investigates. They met in a downtown cafe. Maya's eyes lit up as she saw the evidence. If this is real, it's one of the biggest energy scams in the state. It's real, Lisa said firmly. And we're going public tonight. Ray added, you'll have exclusive footage, but we want the first words to come from us. Maya smiled. Fair enough. 7 o'clock live broadcast. I'll bring the crew. You bring the truth. As they left the cafe, Lisa caught a glimpse of a black SUV idling across the street. Tinted windows, no plates. She nudged Ray. We've got company. He didn't look back. Let's keep walking. That evening, just as they loaded the hard drives into Lisa's car, the SUV reappeared, headlights cutting through the dusk. Ray's instincts kicked in. Get in! They sped out of the driveway, tires screeching. The SUV followed, weaving through suburban streets. Lisa's grip tightened on the wheel. What do they want? To scare us off? Maybe worse, Ray said. Hang a right. She swerved into an alley behind a hardware store, the SUV close behind. Then, out of nowhere, a police cruiser blocked the other end. Brooks' cruiser. Brooks stepped out, gun drawn. End of the line. The SUV stopped, hesitated, then reversed violently and tore down the side road. Brooks ran over to Lisa's car. You two okay? Yeah, Lisa gasped. Barely. Brooks nodded. Feds are tracking that plate. You did good. Now get that drive to the station. I'll escort you. At 6:45 p.m., they arrived at Channel 7's studio. The newsroom buzzed with tension, cameras rolling, lights glaring, producers shouting. Maya greeted them. You're just in time. 5 minutes to air. Lisa glanced at Ray. You sure about this? He smiled. You asked for truth. Let's give it to them. As the countdown began, Maya's voice echoed across the studio. Tonight on Channel 7 Investigates, the solar scam that shook Cedar Grove. Then she turned to the camera. With us live are Lisa Whitmore and Ray Harper, whistleblowers exposing a massive fraud behind Saulwright Energy. Lisa took a deep breath as the red light blinked on. She looked into the camera, voice steady. They used our homes, our trust, and our belief in a cleaner future to make themselves rich. But the truth can't stay buried forever. Ray slid the USB across the desk toward Maya. These drives contain proof. Transactions, contracts, forged permits, all under Solright's name. Maya turned back to the camera. This evidence will be released publicly after tonight's broadcast. The studio fell silent. The director gave the signal. Live feed cut to commercials. Lisa exhaled shakily. We did it, Ray smiled. Not yet. Wait for the fallout. Minutes later, chaos erupted outside the studio. Phones rang non-stop. Reporters shouted. A producer rushed over, pale-faced. Solright's HQ is on fire, he said breathlessly. Explosion just now. Warehouse level. Lisa froze. Fire? Ray's jaw tightened. They're burning the evidence. Maya looked horrified. What about the workers? Night shift's gone home, Ray said. This was cleanup. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance, flashing red against the glass. Lisa pressed her palms to the table, shaking. We just blew up their secret, and they're blowing up everything else. 2 hours later, federal agents arrived at the studio to take statements. One of them, Agent Morales, sat across from Lisa and Ray. You two understand you're under protection now, she said. Your exposure triggered a federal probe. We've already detained 2 Solright execs at the airport. Lisa blinked. They were trying to run? Yes, and one of them, Morales opened a file. Left this letter addressed to you, Ms. Whitmore. Lisa took it, hands trembling. It was handwritten, signed by Ethan Cross, Solright's CEO. You think you've won, but the system that built Solright is bigger than you, bigger than me. Keep looking up, Ms. Whitmore. The real power isn't on the roof. It's in the sky. Ray looked over her shoulder. What the hell does that mean? Morales sighed. We're not sure yet, but my team's investigating links to offshore. Data servers, what maybe satellite-connected fraud systems. They might have used drone networks to monitor every installation, Lisa whispered. They were watching everyone. Days passed. Cedar Grove returned to a fragile calm, though the buzz of drones still haunted the sky. Lisa walked onto her repaired roof, alone this time. The sun dipped low, golden light spilling across the panels. Ray joined her quietly. You know, I hated this view at first. Because of the fall? Because of what it reminded me of, he said softly. How close I came to losing you. She smiled faintly. You didn't lose me. He chuckled. You sure about that? Lisa turned toward him. Ray, thank you. For everything. For not giving up. He shrugged. Guess we finally fixed something right. They stood there in silence, the evening breeze brushing against their faces. The same roof that had nearly ended them now holding them both steady. Suddenly, Lisa's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. A calm, almost pleasant voice spoke. You exposed Solright, but did you really think that was the top of the chain? Her chest tightened. Who is this? I represent Helion Dynamics. We own Solright, and we don't take betrayal lightly. The line cut. Ray saw her pale face. What happened? She looked up, toward the sunset. A massive drone hovered far above the horizon. Bigger than any they'd seen before, silent as a shadow. It's not over, she said. Ray's jaw clenched. Then we fight bigger. A week later, Lisa and Ray relocated under protection. Maya's report went viral nationwide. Lawmakers called for a full investigation into energy corruption. Cedar Grove became a symbol, not just of fraud, but of courage. Lisa wrote the final statement for the news. For every roof they use to hide their lies, there are people willing to climb up and tell the truth. Ray read it aloud, smiling. That's our story. She looked at him. No, that's everyone's story. They both laughed softly. Then, as the night settled outside their safe house, a distant hum echoed again, faint but familiar. Ray opened the window, scanning the sky. Nothing, just clouds and stars. Lisa smiled. Let them watch. We've got nothing left to hide. The camera pans up, from their window to the night sky, full of satellites and blinking drones. Lisa's voice narrates, in a world powered by light, shadows always find a way to hide. But sometimes, all it takes is one rooftop, one choice, one truth, to bring the light back. Fade to black, the faint sound of wind. Then the final line appears on screen. The truth always rises. If you believe truth deserves a voice, share this story. Every view, every share, every voice helps expose the systems that hide behind power and profit. Don't just watch, speak up, because silence is the roof they stand on, and truth is what breaks it.